Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
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 Good day to you and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. I am Philip Sidney. Today's program, we're looking at the effect of climate change on the agricultural sector. With me are two resource persons, and of course, I would like to introduce themselves. My lady, could you tell our viewers who you are?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ina Harvey, and I am the Management Coordinator for the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture in the Caribbean region, and also the IICA representative in Barbados.
Great.
My name is Steve Maxime. I am the IICA consultant on climate change, climate smart agriculture, and I'm sitting next to my boss.
I like that. Okay, let's have a little overview to get into the nitty-gritty of the discussion. And let's go back a bit. I can remember in Saint Lucia years ago, we had two distinct seasons, the dry and of course the rainy season. Over time, that has changed.
Yes.
We no longer have a distinct dry season where farmers knew exactly what to plant when. So they knew, okay, in the dry season, they would towards the end, they would start planting the root crops. So as soon as the rainy season starts, it starts to grow, you know. And in the rainy season, those farmers who are rain-fed knew that's when to plant the vegetables and stuff like this. That is no more. We do not have a distinct dry season and a rainy season. What we have now is a more prolonged dry season like we had last year.
That's right.
Where, of course, farmers who planted their crops, they died, right? And as a result, I'm sure we will not have root crops for Christmas, okay? And the list goes on. I mean, we had, you know, various storms, floods and stuff like that. People died, you know, and also for the past 20 years, that's what we have been experiencing. And of course, all that equal to climate change. How do you see it in the other neck of your wood?
Well, across the entire Caribbean, across the entire world, especially in small island states, like what we have in the Caribbean and in the mainland territories in the Caribbean region too. There are severe climate changes. You have longer dry seasons, reduced availability of rainfall, more severe climatic events and their effects. You have flooding, you have landslides, you have loss in soil nutrients, water holding capacity of the soil, and there just is a dramatic effect on our agriculture, which has ripple effects downstream on the food security, on livelihoods, on the kinds of activities that our small farmers have to get involved in. So climate change is having a big impact on us, and it will have a big impact on how we manage our economy and the social effects.
Yes, clearly. One of the things that I mentioned on a different program here in Saint Lucia is the fact that we need to be very clear when we talk about climatic change and don't keep referring to weather changes. There are always changes in the weather. The weather is always unpredictable. But what has happened now is that you have more distinct variation, as you said. It's less predictable than before. So we are experiencing some changes. We are seeing, whereas if you look at the historic rainfall figures, they may appear to be similar in that let's say you had 36 inches of rain per year, but what you're finding now is that you're getting those 36 inches in like 3 or 4 events, episodic rainfall.
Correct.
And there's no catchment system, no design that can handle that. You know, so if you had planning for a 100-year event, what we're finding is that you're having 100-year events every 5 years.
That's right.
And
then with the kinds of slopes we have,
then erosion,
and then the slopes are so heavy. When that water comes down and the soil becomes loose,
then you have landslides.
You have landslides, and then all of the effects on your rural communities, on your roads, on your infrastructure.
Correct.
That's right.
Okay. coming from that, I suppose that's where you all come in.
Yeah.
Okay. You are here in Saint Lucia, and I am aware that IFAD funded a project
Yes.
where surveys were done, which was implemented by IICA.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit about that?
Okay. IFAD is interested in having a strategic approach with the Caribbean region to look at rural development, sustainable livelihoods, climate smart agriculture. And therefore, because IICA is under the Americas, the agency with the mandate for agriculture and rural development, they thought we would be a good partner
Okay.
to start looking at developing an evidence-based approach as to what is happening with smallholders across the Caribbean region. So this project was essentially to collect the data and to talk with the stakeholders to understand what they understood by climate change,
Right.
how they felt about climate change, if it was something inevitable, if they could do something about it, what was the impact of all these climatic variances on their production, on their lives, and to see how they were adapting and also what they were doing. And there are a lot of people who are doing a lot of innovative things.
Okay.
And as well as getting back to the old ways, to the traditional methods, that intellectual property of adjusting and mitigating climate change impacts.
I mean, were they doing that on their own without any technical intervention?
I hate to keep hopping back on a previous program, but the thing is that I shared with the community here in Saint Lucia the fact that this project funded by IFAD, which is the International Fund for Agricultural Development, seeks to implement solutions that are evidence-based. So to collect the evidence, they hired consultants like myself. There were 7 of us for the 13 countries.
Yeah.
I had responsibility for 4 countries, including Saint Lucia. And what we did was the old-fashioned type of consult. I mean, I went out there and saw what's happening on the ground, right? We did the normal desk review. You know, you can stay on your computer at home, you know, and figure out all sorts of things about Saint Lucia. But you only find out the impact of a silt-filled Roseau Dam when you're in Roseau.
That's correct.
You follow? When you walk and you see that, you know, there are animals walking about in the middle of the dam, you know, that tells you something.
Wow.
That tells you, exactly. So that having gone to the countries that I was responsible for, collected that type of data, have the evidential data, do the TV interviews, the radio interviews, get the public more aware of the fact that when we talk about climate smart agriculture, and I hate to beat this over the head, we are not just talking about the agricultural sector.
Okay.
We're talking about development generally,
Okay.
survival generally,
Okay.
because every aspect of this thing has an impact outside of the sector, outside of the
people's
When
agriculture.
you say climate smart, let people out there understand what you mean by climate smart.
Well, again, hoping to take credit, but unfortunately, I can't take credit for the name. It's an FA definition.
Okay.
But you know, what is so startling about it? It is really good agricultural practices applied to climate change.
Okay.
So, or to climate change impacts. So
Adaptation.
all the things that
That's right.
we are recommending under the rubric of climate smart agriculture is stuff that, I mean, our forefathers knew about. You know, how you conserve water, how you catch water from your guttering
How
and
you
fill
keep
your
soil
system,
fertility.
how you keep the soil fertile. Those kinds of
Soil
but now,
conservation
but now
Correct.
it's a nice new package, you know, with a nice little bow.
Climate
You know, it's called
Hold
climate
that
smart.
point there. We are due for a break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
What is biodiversity?
When you look at biodiversity, it's all around.
I think of biological and I think of diversity.
What is biosafety?
Safety measures for our foods, our products, etc.
Biodiversity is the variety of life. Biosafety, on the other hand, involves the management of products of biotechnology, such as GMOs and LMOs. Biosafety seeks to protect Saint Lucia's biodiversity. The terms biodiversity and biosafety are not interchangeable. Get familiar with these terms. Observe the biodiversity around you, the changing environment of food production and sustainable growth. Do your part. Visit our websites and stay tuned to this station for more information on the National Biosafety Framework.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. We are discussing climate change. When you were in Saint Lucia and you're doing, going around and meeting the various stakeholders, anything that you would like to share that really captured your eye?
To say capture my eye, it means it would be startling, and extremely dramatic. Not really. I think what we had was a firm establishment of the facts that were out there, that were known before, in the sense that you had to conserve water. We are seeing longer dry spells, tantamount to droughts, that the rainfall is not only more unpredictable, but tend to be associated with more intense events, and that you have to move differently, literally.
Yes.
So that what I've found is that it is re-established some of the things that I've seen in the other islands. So there's not trying to make Saint Lucia not sound unique. I mean, there's some unique issues here in terms of, what was happening with forest conservation. I mean, just yesterday we were at a project, a SLAFI project. This is Saint Lucia Agricultural Forum for Youth, and they were discussing the dichotomy between conservation and forest management. Because sometimes there's a temptation to believe that conservation means keep everything just as it is.
Yes.
That's preservation.
Right. Don't cut down any trees.
Yeah, preservation is for formaldehyde, and for formaldehyde. Once you say preservation, I'm thinking something that is in formaldehyde that is dead, So that conservation implies now that you're going to proper utilization, so that the approach that we are taking and that we're using in all the countries is not so much an environmental approach as an ecological approach, where everybody has to survive in this environment. As much as it is changing, as much as the climate is changing, we all have to adapt. And that's what the message was from here. And I think that Saint Lucia is well advanced in terms of how the ministry is approaching it, how some of the agencies, your Ministry of Environment, etc. So it's not as if, it's out of the blue, I think people know that they have to do things differently.
Okay. Now the reports are in, okay? What was the next step?
Well, before we go to the next steps, let me share with you some of the key things that came out of the discussions that would lead us to the next steps. Yesterday we had a full plenary with all of the 13 countries and all of the stakeholders.
And the invited farmers.
Yes, invited farmers. We had about 60 people there.
Okay.
And water management,
soil
nutrient management,
top of the list.
Water harvesting, drainage and irrigation, training, capacity building, being more landscape aware, having access to the tools and instruments. When I say tools, I don't just mean agricultural tools,
implements,
but to the instruments that can be used to tell the farmer a little more accurately what to expect in terms of weather, better prediction of climatic effects, and also access to financing, a better attitude to farming. All of those things came out in the discussion. The next steps will involve, of course, pulling together all of the information and pulling out those key priorities which are actionable.
Okay.
So we will develop a plan, and in an interagency effort, because no one agency can do this.
That's right.
In an interagency effort at national and regional and international levels, we would see how we can address priority issues that were raised by the stakeholders as well as by the agencies. So we hope to roll this out. In fact, IICA is now putting the finishing touches to its medium-term plan. And that medium-term plan includes flagship projects. One of our flagship projects deals with resilience and risk and climate-smart agriculture. And today and tomorrow, we will be here still, IICA, discussing what we will do based on all of this rich information that we received these last 2 days. What we will do at IICA to try to address the priorities that fall within our ambit.
Let me be very practical here. After all of this is done, I'm hoping that it's not going to be put on the shelf for dust.
Absolutely not.
So how can
we guarantee that?
Okay, but let me tell you, even
we have 60 people out there waiting to see where we had some farmers there waiting to see.
And we have to deliver. We've already started. In collaboration with the FAO, our IICA office here in Saint Lucia and in St. Vincent and in Dominica are utilizing funds to address the agricultural aspects that that the storm surge created.
Okay.
So we have projects funded going on as we speak to look at the impacts in the agricultural sector here in Saint Lucia on a project with women, smallholders in St. Vincent and in Dominica. All those were affected by the storm. So this kind of interagency collaboration we're going to keep on working with in order to address the priorities.
Okay.
Water management, soil and water conservation through projects that are directed to the stakeholders on the ground.
So funding is available for all of this?
There's a lot of funding out there for climate change, a lot of funding for climate change, for green initiatives, for green investments, because a part of it is also looking at what kind of positive impacts you can get out of this whole climate smart agriculture.
The news is not all bad. You know.
It's not all bad.
The
It's
news
not
is
all bad.
at all. At all. I mean, one of the things that I know is going to keep us, and when I say us now, I'm speaking as an IICA employee, honest, is the fact that we went about this in what I think is a commendable way. We didn't just tell IFA that they should invest in this sector. We said, look, let's make it evidence-based. IFA has had a history of large mega projects in the region. I can speak with authority about at least one of them in St. Vincent. And I know that they always sought the comprehensive approach. So that IFA projects tend not to be, piecemeal and little things there. They're fully organized. They tend to have a revolving credit component because I think we understand that the gears don't move without the lubricating finance. You need the paisa to keep it moving. So that was an aspect of it. And the fact that we involve the potential beneficiaries in the actual design. Yesterday afternoon session to me was the most important part. We invited stakeholders, the potential beneficiaries, because we are not the potential beneficiaries of the state. The farmers and the producers. The producers. Concern. Right. So that's what I'm saying. That's how I'm sure we're going to be honest. I'm sure we're going to be honest because we brought them here and we said, look, this is what we are saying. This is what the consultants that that pass through your farm, and spend a few hours with you. Did they really capture the essence of what is going on in your farm? So I had to present in front of the people, who I was supposedly representing, and they would have taken me to task, had I not truly reflected what are the concerns are. So having done that and having had them there say, look, these are the priority areas, water management.
That's right.
You have to get us more involved with comprehensive, appropriate ways to not only irrigate, but to harvest, conserve, store, and utilize water, and distribute the water. So it makes no sense to talk about, we're going to have an irrigation project. Irrigation is an issue, yes, but it's part of overall water management. How are you going to be more efficient in the use of that water? We heard consultants report from farmers themselves how with proper testing, whether it be a tensiometer in the field or a pH meter here, you could reduce the amount of fertilizer that you're using.
It was tenfold.
It was tenfold. A tenfold reduction.
I mean, that fertilizer use.
When you put that into dollars and cents, you see dollars and cents. Real money. Not like your Trinidad. Not like your Trinidad. Real money. It makes a big difference. It makes a really, really big difference. So I'm convinced, that this is going to be one of those projects that not only roll out at the end, but as Ina mentioned, it's already rolling stuff out, and it's already flavoring how we go about promoting climate smart agriculture.
We are due for another break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned.
A smart family is a healthy family, and a healthy family eats smart. Fresh local meats and poultry are the best choice for your family. Our methods ensure that you can trust that they're packed with all of nature's nutrients, fresh from your local farmer. Saint Lucia certified meat and poultry producers meet every government standard for health and safety. Choose a healthy lifestyle for your entire family.
To stay at the peak of my performance, I buy fresh Saint Lucian local produce. Eat fresh, buy fresh.
Fresh local food products straight from the farm to your plate.
We eat fresh Saint Lucian bananas. Eat fresh.
Saint Lucia's farms produce an abundance of fresh quality foods, highly nutritious and incredibly tasty. Wise choices when it's most important. Healthy families. Buy fresh, eat fresh.
Welcome back to the program,
Jamaica.
Agriculture on the Move. The farmers directly, because my concern is how the farmers are going to get that direct benefit. I mean, you talk about finance,
Yes.
okay? We're talking about irrigation. You talk about, again, water catchments and this kind of thing. How is that going to happen practically for that farmer out there?
The nice thing is about IICA is that we have an office in every country. And our offices in the countries work directly, daily, not only with ministries and other institutions, but we work with the stakeholders on the ground.
Okay.
People can come in, walk into IICA's office, call any of our IICA officers, the IICA representative, our technical people, and say, hey, can you come out to my farm and help me?
Okay.
And we provide direct technical assistance there, right there on the farm. And if we don't have it in-house, we can call on our 34 countries specialists, representatives who are specialists, to say, hey, we have some farmers here who want to learn how to set up a greenhouse. And we can even send farmers from here to Dominican Republic, to Jamaica,
To Mexico.
to Mexico. We have a Mexico training program going on right now. There are Saint Lucian farmers right now in Mexico
Yes.
for 2 months,
The greenhouse.
learning how to manage crops under greenhouse conditions. So that is how we do it directly. FAO does the same thing too. CARDI, and we all work in collaboration. There is this thing, oh, there are so many agencies working. We work together.
tandem, yes.
We work together.
And each has
our
its
work-
strength. Each has its
That's
strength.
right.
Each has its strength.
And we work to the benefit of our stakeholders.
At the end of the day, say for example, the farmer goes into a project. Is he able to find financing on his own, or is IICA or if IFAD going to assist in that direction? How does that work?
On his own or on her own, let me be gender sensitive here. It is much easier for farmers to gain access to funding if they work as groups.
Correct.
If they cooperate. I know cooperatives is a bad word in a lot of countries in the Caribbean, but there are some successful cooperatives. And we have to use the successful ones as our models to see how things work. So we like to see farmers work in groups because you can access finance much more easily, grant funding, as well as non-grant funding. IICA is not a financing agency with technical cooperation, but we can help a farming group prepare a proposal for funding and train that group to manage it and to prepare their own proposal so that they build their own capacity in the longer term to know how to access funds, to know how to put the right words and who to go to and which fund to go to for what.
You know, what if I can interject, what Ina hasn't mentioned in her modesty is the fact that the concept behind the project approach includes a steering committee that includes CAFAN and Carib Save and a whole range of institutions. You know? So it's not as if we just sat down in a corner by ourselves and decided, this was a good idea. She has brought in a wide ranging, mix of stakeholders and agencies that can provide those services. You know? So
in terms of time frame, when this activity in Saint Lucia is completed, what's your timeline? To see some success down the road.
Okay, the project officially ends end of September, end of this month. We are ready in September.
Okay.
Our medium-term plan kicks off in October.
Okay.
And we are going to start some activities, piloting some activities in our resilience flagship project in October and November to the end of the year. And then the full implementation of what we're going to do for IICA is going to happen in the next biennium.
Could you highlight some of those flagship projects that you're going to be implementing?
Okay. The flagship projects include the project on resilience and risk management, and this one relates to climate smart agriculture. We will be looking at strengthening the institutional framework so that we work together. We'll be looking at strengthening the farmers' associations and giving them the tools and the instruments to predict better, to do their testing and analysis better, to form associations so that they are more powerful, that they can create their own projects and proposals, and we'll be doing work on the ground in specific countries that are highly vulnerable in terms of climate change impacts. That's for the resilience. We have 3 other flagship projects. One dealing with agricultural value chains and linking our agriculture right up from farm to table, farm to fork, boat to throat, however you want to say it. We have another one looking at rural inclusion that's going to include women and youth especially. And there was a call yesterday for youth, more empowerment of youth and economic empowerment of youth in agriculture. And another one on family agriculture. So those are our 4 flagship projects. That's where IICA is going to focus its work over the next 4 years. So that's how it's going to roll out. And then in the meantime, from this specific project, we will be looking at developing a proposal in collaboration with agencies who were there to see how we could address priorities that we may not be able to address as IICA alone.
We have a department of cooperatives attached to the Ministry of Agriculture. Are you going to be working with them too? Because they're supposed to be building capacity of those farmer and fisher groups and stuff like this.
Our IICA office here in Saint Lucia works with an array of stakeholders. Our line ministry is the Ministry of Agriculture, of course. But because agriculture is multi-sectoral and we promote this nexus among agriculture, environment, health, nutrition, cooperatives, energy, community development, forestry. And the Ministry of Agriculture covers all of those. Then we work here in St. Lucia with all of those partners so that we have a collaborative approach to trying to solve the problems.
As we come to the end, any final words from you, sir?
I just want to sing my usual mantra that the news is not all bad, it's not catastrophic. It provides so many opportunities for us in agriculture. We haven't had a chance to talk about the impact of food miles, the fact that, visitors do not want to travel the same distance that their food traveled. It was seen that they're paying passenger taxes now, There are a whole range of opportunities, the nexus between tourism. I mean, Ina is an agro-tourism expert. I mean, we haven't had time to talk about those links, but so the news is not all bad. I think there are enough committed organizations, individuals, and experts out there working to address some of these concerns. I'm less them the concerns. They're no longer problems. They're no longer problems. They have a coalition of the willing. Yes.
So, based on the discussion here, there is hope in agriculture, huh?
I don't understand.
I'm saying so. I don't understand. Because I'm saying so because you see.
You know, we're ganging up on you because we can't understand.
Our Central public have this idea agriculture is dead.
No. So they need to talk to people in Staffy and they need to talk.
Because we have some young person coming on board. That is the youth agri-entrepreneurship program. That's we want to get out there, let people, let the youngsters get involved in agriculture. That's the way to go. We need to feed the nation. Yeah?
Absolutely.
And agriculture is our business.
But let me just squeeze in one last point. We need more role models. We need more successful people to say they are successful.
That's
right. That's something we can't get people to say.
Thank you for being here. I want to thank you all for being here very much.
Thank you.
You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching. Agriculture is not dead. Agriculture is our business. And I still want to tell you, eat fresh what we grow here in St. Lucia. That's the best way to go for your health. I am Philip Sidney saying goodbye and see you again next time.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.